Well, hello, this is Jeff Gaudiosi, and you're on misplacedstraws.com where music comes to life. And my guests today are part of a unique band whose first release back in 1981 was the perfect blend of pop, rock, and new wave with singles like Up Periscope. After more than 40 years, they're back now with a new record called 45 West 55th. From Novo Combo, please welcome guitarist and vocalist Jack Griffith and Rock and Roll Hall of Famer from his work in the classic lineup of Santana, drummer Michael Shrieve. Welcome, guys.
Thanks,
Thank
Jeff.
you, Jeff.
Great to be here.
So,
Yeah.
first, let's go back a bit in the time machine. It's the late 70s, the four members of the band, you guys all have careers in the business. How does Novo Combo come together?
Late
Later,
70s.
Michael.
Yeah. Okay. My chronological order is not with the best of them. However, um, for me, I lived in London for a while, and I was doing two projects over there. One called Go with Stormy Amashta and Steve Winwood and Al Di Meola, and then I had a band called Automatic Man, and we were both recording for Island Records at that time. Came back to the Bay Area, and Automatic Man broke up, and I decided that okay, it's time for me to go to New York finally. Um, so within that year, I picked up and moved to New York. I'm not even sure what year it was, 77 maybe. Um, at any rate, I started, thinking about putting another band together, and I still wanted to see if I could like do something in the, nice in the rock pop arena. Um, and so I started. What is it? I had a band with my brother Kevin for a while. We were being looked at by Bill O'Coin, who was the manager of Kiss,
Yes.
and that didn't work out. But I told Bill I'd like to do something, and he recommended Stephen Dees. Um, I'm not sure how they met, but he gave me a phone number, and I called him, and he was in Florida, and he was in Florida, but actually he was on his way up to New York City where I was living, and so we met then and started talking. Then we would play a little bit, and then we started that search, that goes on and on. Um, and Jack, I think, didn't Steven hook up with you in Florida first?
Yeah, yeah. I answered an ad for an audition because
Oh,
flown from LA to Miami and I was looking for a job. So I answered this ad for an audition for like a hotel band. And
uh-huh,
so I go down and do the audition and it's Ronnie. And
uh-huh,
yeah, and Ronnie and some blonde. And so, I'm giving my best R&B music. And there was a kid there that worked with him as an engineer named John. And John says to me, he says, man, Michael Shrieve and Stephen Dees are going to be here tomorrow auditioning guitar players. I
oh
was like,
wow,
oh my God, you know, you guys were my heroes, man. It was like I would have probably never gone on my own cognizance, but I went back home that evening and Stephen calls me out of the blue, says, hey Jack, Stephen Dees, come down and jam with me and Michael tomorrow. So I was like, okay. I was on the spot, so I had to go. So anyway, that's how it began. Then we started jamming every day, as
yeah.
it were.
And
Yeah.
now, when that first record came out, you guys, you kind of slotted right in that bridge between like the Police and Cheap Trick. And by the second
Mm.
record with Animation Generation, MTV starts and you guys get on there, you play some big shows. What happened? Why did the band end after that second record?
You have to take that, Michael.
Yeah, I just went through this the other day with Steven. Um, and see, what happened was the record company started losing interest in the band. Um, we did the first album, there was high hopes for that. We played all over New York City. It was good. We opened for the Who in Cleveland or Cincinnati or somewhere. Pete Townsend was a big fan of the band. He'd always come to the gigs. You could always see him because he's the tallest guy jumping up and down in the back of the room. So we went through some changes. The second album did not sound like the first album. Jack had left for personal reasons. We got another guitar player named Carlos Rios, wonderful guitar player. I just saw him on Saturday Night Live with Stevie Nicks the other night. Um, but it was a different sound. And, you know, between management and just all these things that happen in the life of a band, there just wasn't enough juice to hold the thing together. I mean, that's the way it is. Which brings us to this record. For me to like listen to everybody again, it's just like about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I did a Santana reunion with the original guys, and it's this thing called chemistry, man. It's a real deal, and in listening to this stuff that we put together for this record, 45 West 55th Street, I really got that. You know, like this was the band with Jack on guitar, frankly. The thing about when we were rehearsing and doing all these things, we practiced a lot, right, Jack?
We sure did every day.
Yeah, it was like serious business, but it was great because that's the only way you get that weave, that tight weave in a band, in a rhythm section. And Jack was playing like you know, aside from lead guitar stuff, he was part of the rhythm section. So everything he did was really based on the song and the parts that he constructed. You know, after however many years it's been, I realized like even with that new song, Jack, the one that opens the album.
Yeah, don't throw your love away.
Yeah, I mean, I realized, man, this is Jack Griffith, man.
Thank you, man.
This is the sound, you know.
Yeah, I
Well, and
liked
it's
what
like,
the people said in comments. They said, "Wow, you know, they were just wowed by the fact that we just sounded like we didn't miss a beat. When we got
Yeah,
back together, we sounded exactly the same, you know."
yeah.
I
I
thought that
mean,
was really cool.
yeah, it's a chemistry thing, and you
Mhm.
know, I don't have a problem with a lot of like for my solo records and things like that, make complete left turn direction, this, that, or the other. If we had been a band that was playing like this is our fifth or sixth album and stuff like that, I'd probably be, or even less than that, I'd probably be the one fighting for change,
Oh,
you
yeah,
know.
no doubt. I think we'd be much further along though had we stayed together that long.
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
that's what
Yeah,
looking at the songs on this record, I mean, as you said, they sound exactly like you didn't miss a beat. Were these
yeah.
all new songs written for this record, or did you guys have some stuff left over that you just never got around to recording?
go ahead,
Well,
Jack.
we were all introducing material. You know, we all had songs to introduce, and we waited through quite a few songs. Plus, we had the music that we had in the can that we recorded in the early '80s still. And,
Yeah, a lot of these things were demos before we did the album,
Mhm.
and we were based mainly around Midtown. At least this my apartment, 45 West 55th, was right in Midtown. So it's where all the
it
record
was home.
companies were, and you know the studios were around there, and so um, we got management, and we were able to have some money to get really good studios, really great engineers, and we were so well rehearsed. Um, and by this time, Pete had come in the band, this Pete Hewlett, that we would just go in and record it. We didn't really do overdubs or anything. This was like kind of us live. So a lot of these tracks on this new album are takes of tracks that were before the album came out and different takes. And most of them were just two-track masters, you know. And we could add to them now if we wanted, whatever we, you know, talked through and thought would be best.
Yeah.
Well, that's
I
why
think you
it's a
instilled that
very
idea in us. You wanted us to be able to just deliver a song, you know,
Yeah.
just cut
yeah,
it, do it, you know. do it
Yeah,
live and do it the same way everywhere, you know.
yeah, we were a good, strong live band too. Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, so this record, it's a fun listen in that the production and feel, as we've been saying, kind of brings you back to that power pop new wave era that we haven't heard in a long time. Now, with all of you guys being remotely and kind of placing this together, electronically, how were you able to keep the feel of the band without actually being in the room to do it?
It's just
well,
natural.
yep, it wasn't difficult. You know, it's kind of like we know what needs to be done. I know what the guys expect from me. I know kind of what to play in Novo music, and it just that was never a question of, well, we don't sound like we used to, or we didn't even question the fact that it was like remote either.
Mm.
You know, we'd be listening to everything. This process took a couple of years to do.
Yeah.
Basically, Stephen Dees is the one that put it together, and he and his wife Patty, and you have to drag me kicking and screaming to dig up the past, and so I was kicking and screaming for a while. Like, oh, don't take me there. That's finished. That's done. Bury it. Move on. And but after a while, I'm pretty stubborn. After a while, I saw the amount of work that first of all Stephen was putting into it, and then that the other guys were doing it, and then at a certain point for myself in the process of doing this record,
Yeah.
I just surrendered. I just completely surrendered and said, okay, there's too much energy being put into this thing for me to be the asshole. You
Uh, yeah.
And you mentioned the strong live performances. You guys were a great live band, and as heard on the Alive in America release. Do you think that you'll be able to play a couple of shows, whether it's just a couple on each side of the country or whatever, to support this record?
No, I don't think so.
Easy
Maybe
enough.
I mean,
Some of us are hoping he gets to feeling a little bit better about it at some point. I like to say never say
maybe we could
never.
do something remote, maybe like during a
Yeah.
pandemic type of
Yeah.
technology or something like that. But um, I don't know. I mean, yeah, don't
Now,
push it.
now, kind of going off course a little bit, Michael. We mentioned your time with Santana and that legendary performance of Soul Sacrifice at Woodstock. Looking back now, 50 plus years later, I mean, as a 20-year-old, are you able to grasp the moment of what happened there, or did it take perspective to see that?
Oh yeah, it definitely took perspective. I mean, I was aware, of course you're aware when that many people like respond to you without even having a record out. You know that that's special. And then when the movie came out and you're on a cover of a magazine, well, something's going on. But nothing prepares you for the length of time, um, the duration of the of time where people still derive joy from it. And so um, I think it's one of those magical moments that was caught on film, although we played like that every night. So, I mean, I could show you a clip from another festival a year later where my drum solo is much better. The band is playing much better. Stuff like that. But yeah, in perspective, what gets me is how moved people are still by that performance. It still holds a special place in people's hearts. I mean, I somebody said put a post on Facebook last week saying "Happy birthday, Michael Shrieve." Right, my birthday's in July. Go figure. But there were still like hundreds of comments about, and this was the bane of my existence, Jeff, for a long time. It's like Woodstock, Woodstock, Woodstock. Um, and now I'm just like gracious and try to be gracious about it. And say if I'm glad that I could do something that people enjoyed and still enjoy.
Mhm. And I was one of those people that was lucky enough, I think it was back in 2016, to see the reunion of the original band out here at Mohegan Sun, and
Oh yeah,
it was
it was
something I'll
good,
never
right?
forget. Yeah,
It was good. We should have done a whole world tour.
yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. And Jack, in
Yeah.
between the demise of Novo Combo and this comeback, you've had quite a career yourself with Mick Jagger, and you did some work with Santana and a million other people. You know, fill us in a little
I,
bit
I,
on
I need to
your
set that
journey to
straight.
this record.
I need to set that straight. I've had to do this twice already. I didn't play or work with Mick Jagger. I only hung out with Mick in the studio,
Mhm.
because we were produced by Chris Kimsey. And of course, Michael's close friends with Mick and
Mhm.
Chris and everybody. But it enabled us to spend a lot of time around him and those people in the studio, where we'd hang out in the studio and jam, talk and stuff and hang out. But I never worked with him or played with him, just for the
Yeah.
record.
Once
Okay.
you once you associate yourself with them, Jack, it never leaves you.
Yeah, it never goes
I
away.
mean,
Yeah.
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 Anyway, just to set that straight, but it was still pretty wonderful being around them, And I got to spend a lot of time with Pete on his first solo record. Was that RCA Studios, Michael?
That was
I think it
Atlantic
was
Studios.
Atlantic. Okay, yeah, okay. And him and Gene Paul, and it was just, man, what a great time that was.
I remember doing
Such a
demos with Pete. We're talking
Yeah, right,
for
right.
his next album, and they set it up in Atlantic Studios. And what's it, that famous engineer
Gene,
Jimmy?
oh, Jimmy Iovine.
No, it was the guy who worked with the Stones and this brother. Anyway,
Yeah.
Pete was set up like in a surround setup. You know, I mean, holy shit! I mean, it was serious volume.
Us guitar
Imagine.
players.
Serious volume, but a man who really understood the power of the music,
Oh
and
yeah, sure.
this is what I demand that it sound like.
Mm.
It was like it wasn't halfway,
Yeah.
and
Exactly. Yeah.
it was really something. I'd never experienced that. I mean, even with Mick and stuff like that, it's a different thing. But um,
He's the master of power chords, man.
yeah, and I mean, it was all power. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I saw him last time he was in town. I took my youngest son, who's 24, and they had like a 20-minute talk on, all the Greek philosophers.
Oh yeah.
Serious discussion. 'Cause my son was into it, and he was very sweet. Yeah.
It's neat.
And now we talked before that the band probably will not be touring for this record,
Um,
but what do you guys see as the future? I mean, is this just kind of a one-off, let's get back together one last time, or do you kind of see this continuing?
Well, I told Stephen the other day when this came up, I'd be happy to put another project like this together. You know,
Hmm.
yeah.
I wouldn't mind continuing some output and see where we can go, more new material, and as long as we don't like rehash the past, you know,
Right.
there's a
Yeah, I want
certain
to go
point.
forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so that would be my only criterion. But I'd be happy to make more music with these gentlemen. I'm not trying to be cold or anything like that. I just think the reality is I don't play so much anymore. A lot of the music I make is like on electronics, and I mean, I do have a new record out for myself, but this one I'm playing 16 toms in a semicircle, and it's a new agey vibe. But for the most part, I've had some health issues, like I cram up, I tighten up, and I have arthritis, and it's just like age things that you know. I think there comes a time when I see people my age, like some it really works great for, and others I think, dude, like know when to bow out gracefully. It doesn't mean you can't stop creating.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just different. That's all.
Yeah, there was some talk. Stephen and Pete was talking about maybe trying to get together and do a 5 song EP.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That
sure,
that that could be nice. Yeah, it'd
sure.
be fun.
Yeah.
And Michael, you mentioned your solo project. Jack, do you have any other projects that are coming out around now?
No,
Oh,
but he's about to. Look at that room he's in. He's got a beautiful
I have
studio
future
set up.
plans. Yeah, my friend Randy Brown, who also worked on the Novo record, he and I are putting a studio together in my hometown, Charleston. I'll give you, see if I can pull this up, give you a little zoom. I'm in the studio now.
Nice.
There's our board. It's real cool. We just got our new diffuser in. This thing's a hoot.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
It's got the Beatles in it, like cubism, and so
Really?
it's so funny because when you walk away from it, it just looks like art. But then when you walk right up to it, then you see the Beatles.
Wow.
It's great, yeah.
What are
And
those
so
speakers? What speakers do you have there? KKR or?
yeah, KRK and JBL, the
Uh-huh.
700 series. We have a 700 series and the 615 series. You know,
Oh, wow.
so we can cut big. We can cut big guitar tracks without blowing the speakers up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm focusing on that. Maybe some new music, of course, with Novo, and I don't know. I'd like to do another. I'd like to get another CD before I get too old.
Before
I
it's
just
all
turned
said and
70,
done.
Michael.
Yeah, man. You did? You turned 70?
Yeah,
No
I
turning
love it.
back. No turning back now.
No, I'm heading the other way now.
Well,
But I love
thank
it, and I'm so happy we got back together to do this. And
Yeah.
I would really like to do more. Definitely, it's in
well,
us. You know.
thank you guys so much for taking the time to do this. I really
Thank you,
appreciate you
Jeff.
both coming on. We've been talking with Michael Shrieve and Jack Griffith. The band is Novo Combo. The record is 45 West 55th Street. It's out everywhere now. It's a fun listen. I definitely recommend it. Guys, thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Jeff.
Jeff. Appreciate it, mate. Thank
Have a
you.
great one.
Take
You
care.
too.